Well, welcome back to SPAN. My goodness, I feel like it's been forever. Yeah. We're going to have a slam dunk today. I don't know if anybody knows that, but yes, we're going to have a slam dunk today. My name is Mark Davis. I'm president of SPAN, and I represent Alan Biller and Company in Seattle. We're just opening an office here this year after 30 years of being in business in Seattle with the Western Conference of Teamsters, and after 30 years, we're opening an office, so I'm thrilled to be doing that on behalf of Alan Biller. Our mission here at SPAN is to teach advisors and learn together how to better help philanthropists with their missions, both community projects here as well as global projects. And over the last 7 years, we've had 28 of these lunches. We only do 3 a year, and because this year we're at another sellout, I want to recognize all the people that are here at SPAN for the first time. So if this is your first time at SPAN, if you'll please stand up and let us recognize you. Wow, we've never had that many new attendees. It's thrilling. So for those of you that have been to SPAN before, you know the sequence, but for those that have not been to SPAN before, let me just review the sequence of what we do. So we don't have lunch during the conversation. You can have your salad, you can enjoy one of your Rainier rolls. I think there's Rainier rolls on the table. But we actually serve the lunch after the conversation. And thanks to Catherine Irby Arnold, we're very fortunate today to have Lenny Wilkens as our conversation. So as they start... Thank you. So as they start the conversation, we're going to have that about 20 minutes, and then there's a table talk. So at every table, we have a table captain. So if you're a table captain at your table, please raise your hand, okay? Very good. So I think we have a table captain at every table, which is great. And then at the end of the table talk, we're going to have about a 10-minute time for members who want to make an announcement about an upcoming event they're doing. So I know in the case of Geraldine Bouchot, who's here today, there'll be an announcement about the Peace Trees event coming up. So if you have an event that you would like to tell the membership of SPAN about, please come up at the end and make your announcement. So before bringing Catherine and Lenny up to the podium, I'd like to make a special recognition of our SPAN sponsors, okay? So at every one of your tables, there is a list of SPAN sponsors. And without SPAN sponsors, we would not be having this level of programming. And I'd like to just read through who they are. Alan Biller and Associates, Andal Care, BNY Mellon, Clark Newber, Cornerstone, Filament Advisors, Hellcell Fetterman, Laird Norton, Morgan Stanley. By the way, Morgan Stanley, Alan Biller and Associates, and Andal Care are all new sponsors of SPAN. National Christian Foundation, Pacific Continental Bank, PG Calc, Pratt Legacy Advisors, Seattle Children's Hospital. Great to see you back, Doug Pica. Where are you? Where's Doug? There he is. Seattle Foundation, Social Venture Partners, Wellspring Group CPAs, and Whittier Trust Company. So if we'll give every sponsor just a big round of applause. So let's go ahead and start our conversation. Catherine, if you can come up. And by the way, if you do want to be a SPAN sponsor, please let me know. So if any of you would like to be a SPAN sponsor next year, let me know. Catherine Irby Arnold is a vice president at the private bank of Union Bank. And during one of our meetings, she came up and said, I really think we need Lenny Wilkens on our podium. And I said, well, do you think he'd be willing to do it? And she said, I'll try. So I'd like us all to welcome our favorite Seattle supersonic, Mr. Lenny Wilkens.
Make sure this is on. So first off, Mark, thank you. I just want to, just a little slight correction. I was at Union Bank, and now I'm at BNY Mellon Wealth Management. and I'm very happy to be here. But sometimes that's how long these dialogues can take to happen. And at the end of the day, it's just good that we got this done, and we're very thrilled to be here. I've been associated with the foundation for 7 years now. The last 2 years, I've been the board president. Happy to do that. You can imagine what an honor this is. My job today really is just to ask the questions of Lenny himself, and then we have Francis Bravo, who's our vice president of the board, and we have Bridget Graham, who's the president of the foundation. And Bridget, you also, I think, have a microphone over there. Oh, Lenny's got it, yeah, of course. All right, we ready to get started? So let's talk a little bit about your journey into philanthropy.
Well, my journey began a long time ago, probably at Providence College. And by the way, you know, very seldom get to meet someone from Providence, and I met there's someone here from Providence, Rhode Island. Can you believe that? He's around, there he is, oh there, okay, yeah. But when I attended Providence College, I got to meet a lot of people, and one of the first things that I got involved with was Big Brothers, and I was a big brother, which was kind of fascinating for me because they had a theme at that time. You never stoop too low when you stoop to help a child, and it made a lot of sense. So that was the beginning of my journey into philanthropy, was to work with young people, and the thing that became a theme for me is that young people are our future. They're tomorrow's citizens, tomorrow's doctors, lawyers, you know, politicians. And so anytime that we can help, to extend a hand to help them become successful, I think it's important. And so that's kind of been a theme for me. And from there, I don't want to tell anybody this because they might try to get me to work a little bit, but and then from the Big Brothers, I joined the Knights of Columbus. I became a knight in 1958, okay? So that began the journey because what happened was that I saw where people needed, they needed encouragement, they needed help. And if you're in a position, and I tell young people all the time, first secure yourself. Then, if you can give back to the community, think about it. So for me, that was my beginning.
So would you say that your NBA career gave you tools and skills, or even just playing team sports, that translate into philanthropy and community giving?
Certainly, my MBA career helped in that. There were a lot of things that I got involved with, but a lot of people don't know that I was in ROTC in college. And so after my first year of pro ball, I missed my second year because I was in the military. I was a young second lieutenant in Quartermaster Corps. And so I was very lucky. I missed the Korean War, and I was fortunate enough not to have to be involved in the Vietnam War. But the military helped hone some of those skills as well, because I was in charge of young men who were almost the same age as I was at the time, and it was eye-opening, you know, what we had to get them to learn to do. So that was fun, and that was that helped a lot. And then when I got out, I got involved in a program in St. Louis, which was it was with high school dropouts, and it was a Dr. Wolf who started the program, went back to D.C., got it going, and they had a program in St. Louis, and I worked in it during the summers. I had to administer IQ tests, dexterity tests, things like that. And then I had to do counseling at the end of the day with these young people. And they were a lot of them were my age, and I was teaching them how to fill out an application, you know, how to sit for an interview, grooming, all those kind of things. But it was a great experience, so that helped a lot as well.
I'm sure. So, so recently we heard Russell Wilson is announced that he's going to start a foundation of his own. Why Not Me Foundation, I think, is what he's thinking of calling it. What advice would you give him if he were to ask you?
Well, I'd give him two things. One, secure yourself first, okay?
Get that contract, right?
Yeah. You know, make sure that you're doing your job capably so that you can have success, because then that allows you to help other people. Secondly, surround yourself with strength. You know, never be fearful that someone might know more than you. Hey, let me tell you something. I learned from lots of people, okay? And I was never afraid of being around someone who knew more than me, because I thought that really helped me. And there's a guy here, I don't want to embarrass him, but when I got traded here to Seattle, I became friendly with one of the owners. And we used to have lunch together. So lunch, he'd say, come by the office around noon. I'd get there around 11, because I wanted to hear what he was doing. And that was Walter Schofel. Seriously, I would get there early because he was always transacting business somewhere, someplace, and I wanted to hear how he did this. And he was very generous in that he didn't mind me being there. So I learned a lot from him.
That's a great point. Strength. So Francis, let's move to you real quickly. Let's talk about the family being involved in philanthropy. We were just talking at the table here, and I was surprised to learn how long you'd been involved. I figured it was as long as you had been married, but you told me, oh no, even longer. So tell me a little bit about that.
Well, it started with me putting up Little GeoCities, if you remember that, Yahoo account, a website. And remarkably, 4 teams from around the country signed up for our golf tournament who had never heard of this event because of that little informational website. So that started my involvement 17 years ago. I joined the board, I was asked to join the board 14 years ago when Coach and Randy were both out of town, and they realized they didn't have a direct family presence, and I was honored. You know, they knew I'd been with Jamie for a few years before we got married, and they knew that I was dedicated to them and to Jamie and the family.
You're going to stay around for a while?
I was going to stay around for a while, so they put me on the board, and I got into it very quickly because this family isn't afraid to get dirty. So just a few years ago when we were shorthanded, Mom and Coach would run to my house after a black tie VIP event, roll up their sleeves and start making gift baskets and cutting up signboards, doing everything they could do to help us prepare for the event, because they knew that every dollar that we didn't spend was one more dollar to give.
Yeah, that's great. So do you have continued plans to involve your children? Because I know, Lenny, as proud as you are of your philanthropy and your MBA career, the 43 years of giving back to this community in Seattle, which we're very fortunate, millions and millions of dollars. I know you're also very proud of being a grandparent and enjoying that. So can we talk a little bit about maybe some future plans for the family and how you guys might start? Both of you guys can kind of go back and forth on that if you would, maybe.
Well, for me, my wife and I, we focus on teaching our kids to share, say please and thank you, because that's the basic ingredients for showing respect for others. And I think philanthropy is how adults demonstrate their respect for others. And that's very important to us, to see that we nurture that feeling. I know that whenever they have something, event at the Sounders or Mariners or on the street, we involve ourselves and we have the kids go and give $1 or donate socks or food, whatever it is, to make them aware there's others that need their help. And I look forward to the day that they grow up and they can volunteer at the golf tournament or the events, and then one day serve on the board and help shape the future of this foundation, following their grandparents' tradition, of course.
That's great.
Well, I have, in addition to Francis and my daughter Jamie, we have, my son was on our board for a number of years and helped take us up to a level. Unfortunately, he lives in Atlanta now, and he couldn't get a job here. He had to get one in Atlanta, and my wife's not very happy about that, but we have 3 grandkids there, so we go to visit. And then my oldest daughter, she has 2 girls, and her oldest daughter is a sophomore at University of Washington, and the other one's a senior at Woodinville High School. So, yeah, we want them to be involved. We want them to carry the tradition on. I think that, as I said, when you're a part of a community and you can give back and help the community be better, then certainly that's a huge contribution. And so we want our kids to be involved in that, and that's what we teach them, okay? And I always say, in the next life, I want to come back as one of my grandkids because my wife really takes care of them, okay? they have no worries. Okay. But certainly it's fun. My wife doesn't want to be on the board, but she tells us everything to do. She tells me everything. You know, she likes seeing the board be successful, and the foundation has been. I mean, I've been involved with the Odessa Brown Children's Clinic since I came out here. I got to meet Dr. Blanche Lavizio, who was the first medical director, and she was incredible. And she sort of coined the phrase, you know, care with dignity. And I always thought that was fabulous. I loved the way she treated young people, how she made them comfortable, made them feel like they were somebody. And that's how I feel. I want young people to make a contribution back. And I think if you set the example, then they will.
Can you tell us a little bit about why Odessa Brown Clinic and Children's Healthcare personally is important to you? Sort of to me, well, some of these meetings that we've been to in the past, and we do our table talk, we always talk about the connection that the founder has to the cause. Let's talk about your connection to that.
Well, you know, usually it's a connection. And my connection began a long time ago. My dad died when I was 5, and so my mother had a part-time job, and she got assistance from the city, and we didn't have health care. And so we had to go to the local clinic, and it was at St. Mary's Hospital. And when we would go there, I didn't like the looks I got. You know, I mean, it was like, uh-oh, here comes the Wilkens again. But certainly I watched and I saw, and there were some good people there who were very encouraging, wanted to help. And so that I thought, well, you know, when I get older, I want to be in a position where I'm secure enough that I don't have to go to that type of clinic. But I'm going to try and do as much as I can to help that clinic be better. And so when I got to St. Louis, I worked with, it was St. Joseph's Home for Boys. And then when I got to Cleveland, it was Shoes for Kids, you know, during the holidays. So I saw that. And then when I got traded to Seattle, and I came here kicking and screaming, you know, because I was leaving a team that had a chance to win a championship. Okay, but when I got here, I met 2 ladies who were very powerful ladies in the community. One was a gal by the name of Toby Burton, who was on Children's Hospital Foundation, and Freddie Mae Gauthier, and both of them were very active in the community. And they invited me to come over to the Odessa Brown Children's Clinic. So when I went over there, and I met Dr. Blanche Lavizio, but what I saw there was very impressive. I mean, you know, there were a lot of families that didn't have health care insurance. And so at the clinic, they receive the care irregardless of their ability to pay. And I thought that was magnificent. And I saw the people working there. Those people really cared about the young people. And you know, we talk about it, and I would tell people all the time, you know, well, how do you expect a child to learn if they don't feel well? So they got to get health care somewhere. And it's the same if a child's hungry. I mean, what do they do in school? They put their head down on the desk. So when I saw what the clinic did and how many people they were serving throughout the year, I said, wow, and this is right in our community. And so from that point on, I got involved. In fact, it was my wife. You know how women are. They make sure you secure yourself first, And I received Coach of the Year award, which was $20,000, and I gave it to the clinic, and she said, "What?" Yeah. But from that point on, both of us hold the clinic very dear to us, and we just really treasure our connection to Children's Hospital because there are a lot of places here that couldn't make it without Children's Hospital.
I agree. True that. Okay. So, Francis, one more question for you, and I want to move to Bridget, and then I want to give some time for questions because I know many of you have questions of Lenny and the group here. I got to know, do you talk about the foundation and the mission and what's going on at the Thanksgiving table?
Yes. As Coach already mentioned, Mom's always keenly aware of what we're doing. The phone will start ringing halfway before this event ends to find out what happened, what was asked, what do we do, what do we say, blah, blah, blah. She is very involved, and we're very involved, and we're always looking ahead. Bridget just came back from a trip, and I'm sure while she was there, she probably picked out a few items to donate to the auction. We're always out on the lookout for sponsors and donors and items. Everyone's very involved in this foundation and seeing that it, continues to grow. So, yeah, it's definitely a topic of conversation in our house. We all take his lead. I mean, this man, you wouldn't imagine his schedule if you saw it, overlapping events here and there, and he does it because he wants to make this community stronger.
Great. Awesome. Okay, Bridget, so let's talk a little bit about the foundation, the purpose, the mission, maybe how it's evolved over your 9 years of being involved with the foundation, and then what you see for the future, maybe anything you'd like to say to the room of people here.
Thanks, Kat. I want to start by saying that I was on Lenny's board for 6 months, and I think about 3 months into it, and I'd heard so much about Odessa Brown, I didn't really know what it was. I was just kind of in awe of being around Lenny Wilkens. And so I asked Coach if he could show me Odessa, and we went there. I was taken, I'm from a family of 9 kids, so I too had some experiences along the way. But the respect that Lenny was given, and I was so excited about the fact that each child who comes to the clinic from the ages of 0 to 18 receives a brand new book after their visit. My mother was a writer, and I was hooked at that point. And luckily, Lenny asked if I would run this foundation, which has been my pleasure for the past 9 years, healthcare and education for all children, regardless of their financial needs. One of the things I think we strive to do is to remove any obstacle a child has from pursuing their dream. If what we can do to give an organization such as Odessa, such as A+, Rainier Scholars, Hope Heart Institute, OSO, Landslide, we do what we can, and we focus on children, anything that we can help to make children receive the dream that they want to have. And Lenny uses that a lot because I think that that is something that he had all along, was a dream to be a successful person. So in doing that, I've been with Lenny, as I said, for 9 years. So there was a celebrity event that we put on. It's been a lot of fun to watch it grow over the years. When I first started, there were about 250 people that attended the gala. This past August, we had over 700 people. Last year we had Charles Barkley, Magic Johnson, and this is where Lenny thinks it's great that I work for him because I don't remember half of the wonderful celebrities. I know who they are when they're here, but that is not why I joined. And Lenny met up with Charles a couple of months ago, who said, "Can I come back?" Well, yes. And one of the things that I have wanted, that I work with, and I think we're very successful, is bringing in the next generation of donors. We have a wonderful amount of people that come we bring them in, we hook them in with the celebrities. But when they come to our event, they find out what we're about, what we do, why we do it, and I think people really jump on board and come back year after year. The other thing that we do that people will ask me all the time, how do you get these people to come? How do you? Because we put on a really fun event, and when you leave, now Coach is going to start laughing. I'm not going to look at him, and he'll start laughing when I tell. I want everybody to have dark chocolate when they leave, because then they leave going, I'm coming back next year. And it's a true story. We are working to enlarge year after year what we do out here in this amazingly wonderful community. Like I said, the families at OSO, we were so thrilled to get to help people out, and we called Jesse Jones because he was out there, and what can we do? How can we help these kids? And Hope Heart is another group. They have young girls who are going to be learning about the values of taking care of yourself, your body, your health, and we're going to be working with them. But our main concern is Odessa Brown. And I've got to say, and I'm glad that Children's is over there, how much we love what they do. You walk into that clinic and it's sparkling clean, and everyone is treated like an individual. And that's what's wonderful.
And they're also a little unique in that there's a continuum of care there, right?
Yes.
There's dentistry, there's mental health. I mean, to me, that's a little different than some other clinics.
It's true, Kat. There's mental, dental, health care, but you see children in. We've seen Russian immigrants that walk in with flip-flops in the middle of winter, and I'm happy to say that some of our funds will provide them with shoes, with coats, they're very aware of who their clients are and what their needs are.
Great. So what about the future then? You want to talk a little bit about the future for the organization and the foundation and what you and Lenny and everyone's the vision is? Lenny, you want to kick that off?
Well, certainly we want the foundation to continue to grow, to be a part of the community. And so we try to do our best to enhance it, however we can. And, my son is on the board. Even though he lives in Atlanta, he comes back for the event. He's even bringing some of his friends from Atlanta out to our dinner. And so, we're trying to get the word out there that we're here to stay. We want to do everything we can to help the foundation grow. And certainly having a couple of events like we do. Our big event is the big dinner auction golf tournament every year. And our celebrities come in like on a Thursday. And a Thursday evening, we have a sort of a cocktail get-together with the sponsors, so the sponsors can meet them and see. And that's always fun, because now that we're able to get a lot of guys to come back and give their time. The only thing I do is pay their expenses, and they do it for us, really. And I'm always overwhelmed by the fact that they're willing to come. We get Gus Williams come back every year. He hasn't missed. Fred Brown comes to the dinner. He doesn't play golf, but he comes to the dinner. Certainly, Jack Sikma normally comes. We get Clyde Drexler, Meadowlark Lemon. I'm able to get a lot of these guys because they want to be a part of helping us grow the foundation. And the thing that's been happening lately is when I was in Barcelona, I ran into some people who heard about what we do. And so we're getting contributions from people. Bridget's got me, so I'm carrying my cards now. And I'm able to give the cards to people, and they make a donation to the foundation, which I think is incredible. And let me tell you, one of the reasons I hired Bridget, her and my son worked together. But Bridget was never afraid to ask. And she does it very nicely. But, I'm kind of squeamish about asking somebody for something. I mean, I've always been that way, And my wife agreed, get Bridget. So
I'm not that bad.
No, she's not. But
Lenny,
certainly we want this to grow.
The other thing too, Lenny, is sponsors. We spend, a lot of people will think that I'm an event planner, which I really don't like to do that much. But what I love to do is going after the sponsors, going after the donors, going after the people who express an interest in maybe what we do, but then find out that we work with children, and that's sometimes. I remember Tom O'Keefe. You remember who used to own Tully's. Well, I went in and talked to him, and within about 2 seconds, I said, children. He said, that's all you need to say, that's it. So we love doing all that. Last night, we had a wonderful event at Neiman Marcus in Bellevue. They put on a wonderful fashion show for us. They see what's happened with our event and how it's been growing and who comes to our event. And so last night, we were able to bring a lot of people who paid to come, and then those funds come to the foundation. But they were able to have a wonderful event. So those are things that we do, and we plan on keep doing. Luckily, with our success, we've had a lot of people asking us to do other things.
Great. So we're hearing awareness. And website, you can go and find out more and learn more.
Which, by the way, Francis has his own job, but he's always doing the
He keeps
website.
Thank you, Francis. So now I think it's time to turn it over for questions, if I'm keeping on track. Is that about right? Yeah, okay. So let's go ahead and turn it over to questions from you guys.
It's okay, you can ask about the
Rich,
championship
I know
team.
you have a question.
Can we visit Odessa Brown? Can we go and take a tour?
Yes, you can. Dr. Danielson is very accommodating. He's our medical director. This guy does a fabulous job. But if you call, just ask for Crystal. Crystal will be happy to set up a visit so that you can get to see the clinic and what it does. And as Bridget said, and the thing that I'm so happy about is that, we deal with young people with health-wise, but also with learning. We help single parents to learn how to shop when they go to stores, how to buy. We do a lot of things at the clinic. And so I think you'd be surprised if you went there and visited to see what they do.
And if you'd like to be a donor for us, then Lenny will go on the tour with you. Never hurts to ask, does it?
Randy up front here, go ahead.
So if you were advising a professional athlete on their finances and philanthropy, and I know that a lot of professional athletes make a lot of money and then what would you advise them? What would you, if you're sitting on the other side of the table?
Well, I did this with my own teams. I would sit and talk with my young players, and I'd let them know that, before you know it, your career is going to be over, and that you have to make sound investments. Now, that's easy to say, but what you have to do is get to know somebody. And I don't have all the answers, but I do know a lot of people. And what I would do is advise them to sit and talk, get to know someone, and look at 2 or 3 companies here to see who they are, what their track record is. And because what you want to do is make an investment that's going to help you with your future. And that's why I always say, you got to solidify yourself first. And once you do that, okay, then if you're able to give back, and don't try to take off more than you can. Start little and build into it, and you'll grow. When I was in St., I'm going to tell you 2 stories, okay? When I was younger, and I majored in economics when I was in college. And the reason that I majored in economics is because I never had any money. And I wanted to know if I got some, what I do with it, okay? And so I wanted to learn about it. And my money and banking costs, I really was paying attention and all these things. But, so anyway, after my 3rd year in the MBA, I had a good year. I got out of the military, and then 2nd year, played pretty decent. 3rd year, had a real good year. And my contract had ended. And I'm up for a new contract. So I said, you're a college graduate, and everything. I said, I want to talk to the owner. Okay? I didn't have an agent at that time. And so I meet with the owner, and I wanted, it was like a $20,000 raise. Back then, that was a lot of money. And so the owner and I are going round and round and round, and I got him up to 18,000. Just 2 more to go. And so, and then we're going back and forth. I'm sweating. He's sitting there real calm, you know. And so finally, like I said, I say to myself, you're a college graduate? Use a little psychology on this guy. So I look at him and I say, does $2,000 mean that much to you? Figuring he's wealthy, he has to be to own a team. And he looked at me and smiled. And he says, does $2,000 mean that much to you? And I said, hell no. He said, fine, sign right here. So I learned. I was learning lessons all the time. And so I tell young people, you got to learn, you got to surround yourself with strength. Ask if you don't know. There isn't any dumb questions.
I love that story.
Let's get on our feet for Mr. Lenny Wilkens.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Lenny. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Mark, and thank you to SPAN and to each of the guests here. Lenny, thank you. Showing respect as adults is an extraordinary way to hold philanthropy. In 1995, Seattle visionaries Kay Bullitt, Ann Stadler, Rosh Doan, and Governor Lowry and my family launched a humanitarian effort to reach out to the Vietnamese people in a way to begin to build bridges and to honor all the losses to all the families on every side of the war by clearing and sponsoring safe removal of landmines and bombs in the most war-torn areas of the country. Since then, we have worked every day in Quang Tri Province, the most severely bombed battleground in the history of the world, on behalf of saving the lives of children and supporting families. Just yesterday, a little boy, Juan, was riding his bicycle and something happened to his tire, so he hopped off his bicycle and reached into the dirt to pick up a stone to hammer on the wheel, and the stone exploded. Juan is in grave condition right now in Quang Tri Province. This is the work that is still to do. We would be thrilled to have you join us at the Four Seasons on November 4th for our 19th anniversary luncheon when Ambassador Gary Locke will speak on building ties and the importance of building ties across the Pacific. We hope you'll join us to learn how you and your clients can engage in building trust and saving lives where it once seemed absolutely impossible. Thank you.
It wouldn't be a SPAN meeting unless Alan Pratt said something about AIP. I'm sure we'll all agree. So, Alan, it's all yours.
Actually, there's going to be nothing about AIP. This is going to be about the CAP designation, the Chartered Advisor in Philanthropy designation. Who in the room holds that designation? Raise your hand. 1, 2, 3. Okay. What the reason I'm bringing this up is it is becoming one of the most, I would say, I won't say coveted, but I'm trying to think of a better word, most rewarding achievements that many of the advisors around the country are now achieving. And we had a study group here in Seattle, and Nancy was a part of that study group 2 years ago, where we had about a half a dozen folks here in Seattle that went through it. There's an announcement out on the table. There is going to be a national webinar, information only national webinar on October 27th. And I've got some information out there where you can sign on. And my colleague Nancy Alsbaugh out of Cincinnati is going to lead this webinar about a national study group. And this is for folks that want to engage in the CAP probably in 2015, but have an online community of fellow students around the country. So there's a flyer out there on the table that looks like this. Feel free to take it. I encourage you to sign on and just listen to it on October 27th. And there's some materials here that you can take with you to talk more about the designation. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Mark. I'm Rob Vetter. I'm the Senior Development Officer for a wonderful faith-based organization called the Puget Sound Christian Clinic. And Puget Sound Christian Clinic was founded 10 years ago by 3 physicians that used to do medical missions. They came home one day and said, what a fabulous trip. Well, we don't even do this in Seattle. Fast forward to today, we have a fixed site in North Seattle and a 40-foot mobile medical clinic that serves King and Snohomish County and will facilitate about 2,500 patient visits this year for people that have nowhere else to go. We care for people all over the world. We don't care about their religion, their politics, only financially. They cannot get help anywhere else. And 1 week from tonight is our 11th annual fundraising dinner at the Linwood Convention Center with Seattle's own 770 Talk Radio host Michael Medved. We'd love to have you join us. It's going to be a wonderful evening. And if you'd like to come, if you give me your business card, I will bounce you a link to register, because registration officially closed yesterday, but I'm unofficially reopening it today for our wonderful SPAN members, and it's just a delight to be with you. Thank you, Mark.
I hope Maureen Brotherton's here. Maureen, could you say a little bit about the TIPS luncheon coming up? I know it's a month or so away or so.
Thank you for the opportunity. I founded, along with my daughter, an organization called Teens in Public Service. And what we do is we offer paid community service internships to high school students during the summer. They apply and are selected for the jobs. So we're basically giving nonprofits stellar employees for free, because they are on our payroll for minimum wage, and we match them with their area of interest, and they're serving hundreds of, if not, several hundred charities over the last 17 years, and we've had almost 1,000 kids go through the program. Our alums are doing such things as establishing Haiti goals. So there's a program in Haiti from one of our alums treating social issues with children. And I think another alum actually has something to do with Peace Trees Vietnam. She's the Shro. She started some work over there with an orphanage. So these kids come from all over the place, all walks of life, and they're incredible young kids. And we have a luncheon on October 30th to support these internships, and it's going to be a fabulous, one of those programs that you're glad you came, because it's a really fun event. So I hope some of you might come. It's at the Fairmont Hotel, October 30th, 11:30, and the program is from 12 to 1. So thank you.
Great, Maureen. Thank you. Any other announcements before we close?
I'm realizing sitting here at the table that I would be remiss. I thought everybody knew, but Clark Newber is having their annual governance conference. It is next week on the 22nd. Our keynote speaker is from TED Talks. And so if you are a board member or you work with board members, you should probably come. If you go to our website, clarknewber.com, you can get the information, but it's next Wednesday, the 22nd. Rona, am I forgetting to say anything?
Where is it?
Maidenbauer Center in Bellevue.
It's phenomenal.
So I hope you'll be there.
Not been to this, phenomenal. And Jane always gets a standing ovation, so you got to show.
No, you do not have to stand. No.
But you will, because she's so good. I see we're almost out of time. Any other final before we? Oh, I forgot to mention, March 19th, we have the CEO president of the Seattle Foundation. Tony Mestres is our speaker coming up. We're sure you'll all bring guests, and bring guests early, because we probably, again, will be sold out. Thanks so much for coming. We'll see you in March, if not before.